Good evening.
Hey, Benny. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year to you guys as well. Hope everybody had a fantastic New Year. I'm trying to see if there's any questions here above so that I can start.
It's a bit of a read.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you know, I just had to do a tweet thread for those of you who haven't already read it. I just did a tweet thread before. The amount of people that message you and sort of say, devs, do something, what's happening, is it a scam, what's happening, what's going on, why does the market go down all the time, why does the market never improve, and generally when you address their questions they quickly turn to Bitcoin or overall market conditions and stuff like that. But ultimately, let's have a look. Hey, Benny, do tell us how awesome RFOX will be in 2022. So I'd say, as I was trying to write there on the thread without actually really, I guess most of you know me well enough to know how to read between the lines. We're continually working on ways to add value and how to bring value. And like I say, we've got a ton of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we know things ahead of everybody else, obviously, because we get to work on these deals. So the thing is that what happens externally in the market doesn't always necessarily reflect on the price, right? So, and even if it did, like, I feel sorry. I've got a friend from an unnamed project that had spent about 7 months working on something, and I'll give you a parallel equation because I don't have a friend from that project. And spent about 7 months working on something and released it right in this particular period that we're going through. And it absolutely bombed. Some of you might know which project it is. It absolutely bombed. And as a result of that, people have gone even harder against that project than they have against most of the others, based on the fact that they're saying, if you bring out something that bullish and it tanks, there must be something deeply wrong with your project, which is just ridiculous thinking. But I feel sorry for the project. And then you might have seen, you probably know who it is, some of you. You might have also watched projects like Trader Joe. Trader Joe is like Pancake Swap for for Avalanche. And they got listed on FTX, and then a week later got listed on Binance, and they fucking tanked. Yeah, so it's quite often just terrible timing for that. But as I said, with Trader Joe, got listed on. Do you know how long it takes to get listed on FTX and Binance? And they somehow swung getting listed on FTX without doing $100 million volume in a day. So obviously someone knows something that got them listed and tanked. So once FTX lists you, Binance has to list you, especially if FTX doesn't get a pump, because then you've got a chance to be able to turn around and say, we're still the kings of the hill. But it didn't work for either of them, so double fail. Could you provide some insight on what you're talking about with increasing value for value for the token? So Crypto Bull, I'm talking about the products that are coming to the market and things that we can introduce to make sure that we're looking after our investors and adding more utility for the RFOX token. So now that we're starting to get products to roll to the market, we can start to shy away from the use of other tokens and use RFOX in more places, which brings more utility. And there's a few interesting little things coming up that will actually bring in more utility for RFOX as well. Now, I will talk about the elephant in the room. And don't forget, guys, this is an open session. You can ask me what the hell you want to ask. Whatever you want to ask. But ultimately, the question that we got a lot from the last land sale was, we saw an improved marketing campaign. We didn't see as much content stuff, but it didn't do as well as some of us thought it would do. Do you think it was a shortcoming because you used ETH, or why did you use ETH as a form of payment? So just to address that elephant again, those of you who have been around for a while and were in here and were following the whole way along, you would have heard the deafening chorus of people that said, because you only offered the first sale in RFOX, what you did was you made it something that was appealing to just our community, that not enough people knew who RFOX was at that time. I think we've, more than doubled wallet holders and followers since then, Pete, but they basically turned around and said, you ostracized the entire Ethereum NFT buying community, and if you had have used Ethereum, you would have done 10 times better. You need to open up the audience and don't just make it an extra hurdle for people to go through to get the RFOX. So we said, okay, we take the feedback. Well, craft, we're data people, so let's put the data side by side. We go to ETH, and then people say, oh, the reason it didn't do well is because you didn't use your native token, and your native token is what you need to be using for a form of payment, and that's why. So no matter which way you go, you're not going to please everybody, but we do have data sets now, but ultimately everything that we're doing, we're moving towards using RFOX as a form of payment. The other thing that I wanted to mention on that front is people have said a lot of times, why do you use wax to buy KOGs? So that's what we've been working hard to make sure that we've got everything in place so that you don't need to do that anymore. You can, of course, and you can use Ethereum to buy some of the NFTs that will be released through us and through our partners in the near future. But you can also, you will primarily buy things through RFOX and use RFOX as the primary form of payment, and that is what we're working towards and have been working towards. Next sale, VFOX only. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Happy New Year to all. Benny Super AMA today. Some brief mentions of a lot to look forward to. You mentioned in a previous interview 2 new partners coming into the Vault that are mainstream. When will we learn of these? Again, with partners that come on board, we get obviously a long leeway. And I was just talking about Trader Joe getting listed on FTX and Binance and stuff like that. Again, timing of the market was terrible. But those types of deals take months and months and months behind the scenes, which is, yeah, I won't go into speculation on price movements, but they knew a long time ago, and it just landed at the wrong time. And the same thing happens internally. Some of what we're doing, we're getting better at sort of trying to time things a little bit better as well. And right now, anything that's going out that's remotely positive, and I don't know how many channels you're in, maybe some of you want to contribute, please write, please tell us what you think. But I'm in several groups that have released tons of bullish information, and I go in and join their Discord, have a look at what's happening, and people are furious that they're releasing good news and they're bringing out these updates in the market as it is, and they're getting slaughtered. Absolutely slaughtered. It is, I don't know how many other Discord groups you guys are in, but the majority of them that I go into are so toxic that it actually makes me, I've been in the space for a long, long time. I need to have a shower and a cup of tea and a light out after I go into those Discord chats. It's just fucking, that's a good sign that there's a lot of new retail people coming in, because it's a lot of people's first cycle. And I remember my first cycle was absolutely terrifying. But there's a lot of people that are way over invested, leveraged, combination of frustrations for what's happening with COVID and what's happening in life. And just on that, before I go to the next question, I hope all of you are safe and well. I think there isn't any direction that I can look where I'm not seeing people that are very, very close to me with their whole families with COVID at the moment. But the fortunate news is that this Omicron seems to be more like a bad flu than anything else. So I hope all of you are safe and well, and that's the most important thing. Obviously, we stress about this type of stuff, and this is an investment, and we worked hard for our money and all the rest of it. But ultimately, there's a lot of things going on in the world as well. So I would say if you're struggling with stuff, make sure that you definitely reach out to somebody because it's a very weird time in the world. Will all transactions in the Vault course through RFOX or only the 2% that is used for VFOX, Quartermaster and RFOX? So the idea is JK Big Rig. Full name, isn't it? JK Big Rig. JK Big Rig. The idea is, especially in the first stages, we'll do lots of things to promote RFOX usage, as well as we've talked for a long, long time about the eventual introduction of cashback and reward systems that would promote use of RFOX. But ultimately, at the bare minimum, we would be coursing the 2% through from the transactions. And the ultimate goal in the beginning is to make sure that we've got as much adoption, and we need to be compliant. Now, a lot of people have always said you should impose RFOX on people, you should force RFOX on people, like Robux and like Sand and Mana had started out doing, and all the rest of it. But the issue is that if you want to operate in regions like Vietnam, as we've explained, you can't use anything that replaces the local currencies. It's illegal. So we have to be mindful of, we understand that the fastest way to mass adoption is to take whatever's in people's pockets and is compliant, and then what we can do is convert that on the underneath the 2% to RFOX. But ultimately, in a perfect world, everything would be coursing through RFOX or as much as possible. So yes, I hope that answers. With the staking window coming to a close, is there any plans to have another one to get people interested in trading, buying COGs again? Oh, there you go. That's one for you, Fadz.
This quarter, for sure, we will release information regarding utility of the tubes for potentially a different kind of utility case instead of staking, which might get people interested. We're looking into the ability for people to get whitelisted with certain tubes that they hold for a project that is going to be released. So more information coming up when we have details to share, but not in this quarter at least. So the whole utility case will be shifting from the typical staking window to something that's going to happen in-game, as well as outside the game as well, and potentially into the Metaverse when it gets rolled out.
Oh yeah, Terence, on that thing about having to delete, I must confess another tech-tard moment. I actually was trying to join these Discord groups to see what was happening, and as I was clicking on them, it kept just taking me into an old group that I was already in. And I could not for the life of me work out why every time I click on an invite link, I can't get to the Discord channel. And it was driving me nuts. And I reckon after 2 weeks, I thought, screw it. There's got to be something on Google that'll tell me what's going on here. And I Googled it, and it said Discord imposes a 100 server limit for each user. And I thought, why don't they make that much more known or signposted? So I had to go in and delete a whole heap of groups, and then I was suddenly magically able to accept the invites. But I'd actually thought it was the project that had a broken Discord. I ashamedly had a rant at one of them. Is Calinova on track for Q1 launch? So, Joker, I'll let that go through official communications. We had another updated look today and view today, and things are looking really good. We've also got some much more improved models as well, and we've opened up the channels for the shop owners and also for the quartermasters as well. So things are tracking well, but I'll wait for I'll let those people that are in charge of that make the official comments in relation to that. Hey, Benny. Can you comment on the new Reebok project, Bathing Apes? Will they be using the Whitelable? I can't comment on that, but a lot of projects are dipping their toes into the collab space. Collabs are the hot new thing because of a number of reasons. One, because it's a trending thing, but two, it mitigates risk and it allows people to put their toes in the water as well. But in relation to Reebok, again, I have to wait for official comms channels for that. When will we be able to tube limited editions bad days?
we've spoken to Pete about this. So we are setting up the smart contract specifically for special editions. As you know, they don't have the same type of structure as the regular editions. So there will be two. For example, bad days, there will be a Choob that has all the bad days COGs. And then the other one will have all the bad days COGs plus the slammer. So there's two different types of tubes. We should be able to release some information about it this month in preparation for them to be used in the game with utility functions as well. So the intent is for us to be able to make the regular editions distinct from the special editions. As I mentioned before, whatever activity we have, taking or in game, whatever we want to do, special editions will have their own separate kind of system or structure away from the regular editions that we release. But we should be able to get a bit more info about it this month, Urban Gecko. We've already discussed this with Pete and his team. We are going to set up the smart contract related to this specifically.
What will be the maximum number of people in each realm for the Vault launch? I can't actually categorically answer that. I can find out an answer for you. Pete, do you know the answer to that by chance?
For the beta, I mean alpha/beta is going to be 32, I believe. 32 per instance. You can have many instances, but it's 32 per instance.
Hope that makes sense and answers your question. Yeah, CK, I'm a tech tard, so I've had trouble understanding that, but I was absolutely shocked to learn about how they do these mass scale concerts and stuff and shows and presentations, and they run multiple instances at one time. It's quite fascinating how the technology works, and we're lucky because we're talking to to a lot of people who are very experienced at this type of stuff. And going back to the collab question or mention, there's a lot of companies looking to now enter. So this is the thing that just on that, because I've received two questions that, like I say, you should put them in the channel, but I think that these people can't make the AMAs. But the one question I got asked a lot during the last week is, which way do you think Bitcoin will go? Because, you know, I don't have a crystal ball, but when I zoom out and I look at what's happening, we're waiting for validation to see if NFTs are the catalyst for runs. If you have a look at the last dip in the NFTs and the scoop up, and then the NFTs kicked off, so did the tokens after that. So there's a few views that NFTs could be the ignition switch and spark that that ignites tokens. But if you just zoom out and have a look at new wallets, adoption of the blockchain space in general, who's coming into the space, who's investing, all the rest of it, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for us to suddenly plummet into into the bear side. We still haven't broken support on the main levels of support for Bitcoin that would indicate a bear market for Bitcoin. So I think we're still in that deciding phase and accumulation phase. But if you go back over the charts in history and then you look at the fundamentals and zoom out a little bit, you know, like I say, we don't have crystal balls, but I would hazard a guess that things are getting, and from the conversations that we have with the people that are coming into the space, if I didn't have that context and I was sitting outside, I'd be scared as hell. I'd be biting my nails and saying, what the hell's... But yeah, I have some huge reassurance from people. And even if it does mean that we plummet down, these people are coming in now. They're setting up shop now. So this is a big thing. This one's for you, Fadz. Hi, Fadz. Can you let us know if the full plan for renting tubes in CogSlam tournaments has been built, the number of tournaments per day, week, and by tube rarity, etc., and when will full transparency be given on this?
We have a structure for the plan laid out already. It's meant to accommodate people who basically have tubes as entry fees, and the issue with us releasing information ahead of time on this is because we still have to finish developing it and testing it, right? So if there are changes to be made, we don't want to cause alarm in the community with the changes. So once we know for sure it works, then we will be able to release the info. It will be done this quarter, so unlikely to be released this month or next month. But first quarter, I think we should have enough time to release and test it. The number of tournaments per day, week, and by Choob rarity, all this will be released when we have that document or article for you to take a look at how it will work. So in effect, you won't be seeing the regular staking events happening anymore. These things will be happening in the game. So look at it as, instead of you earning passive income after 90 days, with this kind of mechanic, you might be earning faster instead of 90 days. The based on the tournaments that we'll be releasing either on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, these tournaments will reward passive income to the people who are participating in it by staking their tubes. The full transparency, like I said, we're not close to releasing this info until I know for sure everything works and smart contracts were supported. Any update on the KOGs slam fixes for S21 Pixels Android not even being able to download the KOGs? We're looking into this at this. I think we've signed an agreement with a QA group that will be an external group that will be testing on all devices, not just the ones that are popular. So these guys will probably start next week and take a look at what is it in the code that is preventing Samsung S21 models and Pixels to not be able to download the game, because in the Google Play Store console that we manage, it is supposed to be able to be played by all the games. There's no bugs or alerts coming from the Google Play console about any errors that they're seeing on these devices. So we need to go down and actually test it on those actual devices that people are complaining about.
Maybe it's whale prevention, because only whales use those kind of words.
Well, probably, but the thing is, like I've not seen a lot of Pixel Android phones in Southeast Asia, at least. But
You can't get them here. They don't ship outside the US. It's US only.
So the thing about testing thoroughly is we need a device on hand, but we've managed to reach out to a QA, quality assurance and testing group, that will be able to provide us a service where they test out the phones that we are experiencing problems with, and I think we should be close to getting an answer probably by next week when they finish testing. I think that will probably take like 100 hours worth of back and forth with them. But the thing is, there is a lot of people on these types of handsets outside of Southeast Asia that we want to include in our community as well when it comes to KOGs or the rest of the other games, right? So we ought to make sure that this actually works. Will the new game that will incorporate KOGs in the game? So, and what I mentioned last time was that the new game that we are releasing will not have a free-to-play mechanism. It's play to earn for sure, but you need to have KOGs to be able to play that game. So someone who is interested in earning passive income or rewards and prizes or even limited edition KOGs in that second game will need to get their hands on tubes and KOGs as well to be able to participate in those activities. So the whole ecosystem starts with people starting off. If you don't have cash and you are a play to earn person who has no capital to start doing their play to earn journey, Slam is a good place to start, and then you start collecting your KOGs, and then after that you can migrate over to the new game. But for those who want to go into the new game directly, they can start buying KOGs off the market, make a tube, or buy specific KOGs that they think will be useful for them in the second game, and then basically they can start playing. So we expect the secondary volume for KOGs to start. The floor will start going up once the second game comes out, because everybody would want to have their hands on at least a tube or certain KOGs to be able to play those games. We have 2 games that we are planning to roll out this year. So we will probably get a bit more information about it once our game development team finishes the proposal and gives us a timeline of how they want to see at least the closed beta play out. But I'm actually excited because it's actually a new utility case for KOGs that is outside Slam and the ones that we're familiar with, because this can allow us to exercise a few new functions such as burning of those COGs for items in the game, or requiring certain characters within our collection to be heroes or buffs or stuff like that. So this is quite an interesting project for us outside of Slam.
Will new footage within the Vault be released prior to the next shop sales? Is Piyush with us tonight?
Yes, I am. Hey, everyone.
Hello,
Happy
mate. I'll intro that, and then I'll let you do a little bit of the talking. But as we know, the marketing has increased, changed direction, and a new team's been formed. And there's been lots of learnings from the first two sales, of which most of the new marketing team were not here for the first sale. So the assets and showing you the assets and all the rest of it is vitally important, and also explaining. Again, I don't want to steal your thunder, Piyush. You can talk about this, but also one of the things that's come out of the feedback is more explanation of the utility of the shops, and should we look at doing some sort of explainer that video explainer or something that better explains side-by-side comparisons, because a lot of people still don't understand the scarcity and the fact that it's the same thing as Metaverse Land, and that if you look at the side-by-side comparisons, this is criminally undervalued. So, yeah, I'll hand over to you, Piyush, if you want to add something.
You're absolutely right, Benny. Short answer, yes. We've heard you. We know that we need to show you more of what we have going on and what it really looks like. And we plan to do that this time. Slightly longer answer, yes, absolutely. We also know that, it's extremely important, like Benny mentioned, to communicate certain key points, which we don't think we've managed to do so far very well. So what we are going to do as a concerted effort this time is to talk about these stories so that everybody, you guys know everything because you guys have been here for long, right? But there are people who are just coming into our universe who don't really understand all of these things. So we want to be able to show them the value of this. And we've already started working on it, to be honest, to start creating assets. Obviously, we are not in a position to say now when the next sale is going to be. But what we have started doing is we've already started working on some assets and some communication of what it could potentially look like. So I guess all of us have that to look forward to in the near future.
Thank you, mate. When will we see the first AMA on RFOX TV? Well, technically, we can already do that now. But as far as the officially launched RFOX TV, it's very close now. Again, Piyush, I'm probably not going to spoil the thunder on that, but it's very, very close, right?
Yes, it's very, very close.
There you go.
Actually, just to add, just to try to build intrigue on that point, we actually saw a couple of things, before breaking for the new year, and it looks quite kick-ass. Of course, we are putting in a lot of effort to make it look better than what it is. But from the initial designs and all the products that we've seen so far, it's actually quite cool.
Yeah, it's actually quite, like, as you guys know, one of the things that the quality of the products is good, and the one thing that we've always sort of let ourselves down with is how we get that out to the wider audience, and that's why we've spent a lot of time building up the marketing team. But also, as I've said a million times, is once people come in, you've got to make sure that you can look after them, and that's another area where we're really bolstering the numbers up to make sure that is possible. Benny, in today's video, you had exchange written on your shirt. Care to enlighten us? VFOX exchange. I don't know, mate. I've never noticed any subtle hints that I've ever given to the public. I don't do that stuff, do I? Will the games be released before any further additions? Drowning in COG supply at the moment. One for you, Fadz.
No, the games will not be released this quarter. We're probably looking at the open beta or closed beta of the game happening on the second quarter of the year. The drowning COGs is really a personal perception of how the value is to people who are long-term collectors, but the new people coming in, definitely when the tournament mode comes out in the first quarter of the year, then whatever sentiment you guys have regarding the COG supply will change, because these people will start using the COGs that you guys believe maybe commons or uncommons that you don't need in the market. The intent is for us to make sure that the people who are long-term collectors see value in holding those COGs when these modes appear, and the people who are new, if you guys moderate the prices in terms of the floor price for these COGs, then they will get bought up by the people who want to play those games or enter those modes to earn some passive income.
When is the Cashback Streaming App due to be rolled out? Eagerly awaiting. So yeah, so JK Big Rig, it's a great question, and we try and remain as transparent on that stuff as possible. And as you know, we know that that's going to be the monster for us. And the interesting thing is that with COVID and the expedition of adoption for a lot of these digital-based businesses, that really not only hasn't got the fast-paced adoption that we thought in these other Southeast Asian countries, but it's evolved slightly. And a lot of what we were building 2 years ago for that is now our proposition, value proposition, more expensive with the introduction of the Metaverse and what we're doing. So first things first, the Metaverse, the Valt release, and the RFOX TV, and then the platform, and then the combination of those, and then it becomes a very easy transition. So it's a bit of a step-by-step process, and I'll still keep saying this, and my opinion on this hasn't changed. That will be the single biggest venture over everything as far as revenue potential is concerned. I don't think people understand how massive that is. So once we've got a solid product suite, the infrastructure in place, and we can roll that out, I think that's going to be wildly successful. And I think putting something like that out now, and the distraction that would bring before everything's set up properly, and the attention that it would pull away with the audience not yet there, I think it's not really a very smart idea, to be honest. You just have to wait, get this stuff and go. But some of these guys that we're talking to now, if we bring one or two of these partners on board, then we don't ever have to worry about community or growth again. Piyush, what data do you get site on to show the brand awareness of RFOX, the Vault, and COGs versus other projects like Axie, etc.? Can you share?
Actually, if you'll allow me, Benny, I'm going to sidestep this question for now and tell you, hey, listen, I'll get back to you in a little while. However, I do want to say that we are very acutely aware that we have a lot of ground to cover in this department. And we are going to be working very diligently towards it for the next couple of months, specifically, leading into the next sale and then beyond. So give me another month or so, and I promise to circle back to you on this one, Craig. Does that work? I hope it works.
Yeah, but Craig, I can tell you from being out and about that something interesting that I hear a lot in relation to Axie and Decentraland is that we're starting to see a really distinct difference in the. So this is a sign that the space itself and the categories are emerging. We're starting to see people put them in different buckets. So before it was Axie, Decentraland, Sandbox. Now people are saying Axie is actually not really. It's not actually a metaverse project. It's a game, and it's got an expanding platform of offerings, and they're differentiating. And it's getting to the point now where there's so many players coming into or trying to claim that they're in the metaverse space that they're putting it into buckets. So I keep getting told every week, how do you compare to X, Y, Z project that I've never heard of? And I have to go and Google it. And then I think, like, for example, High Street. And I say, what the hell's High Street? And I had a look into that a few months ago. And then I say, no, it's actually quite different to what we're doing. So people are starting to categorize and bucket these different sectors and ventures. So it's interesting to see how that will all come together and play out. But again, there's quite a few cluey people that are sort of saying, unless it's virtual reality and unless it's fully interoperable and it accepts multiple forms of payment, it's not an actual metaverse. So I think that they're going to tighten up on that because there's a lot of people that are just slapping the word metaverse on whatever they're building or doing. And as I said, we've had a joke about it a few times in here, but we've had even porn stars and stuff go out and say, I'm uploading all my content onto the blockchain. Woohoo! I've got my own metaverse now. And it's like, no, you don't. That's not what it means. But very interesting.
Benny,
Yeah.
can I add one small thing to that? So, very interestingly, the other day, I told you I was on a call with somebody who wanted to understand why is it that we are building so many verticals together as opposed to just do a game or just do a media company, right? And I had to explain it to him in whatever I could understand that, hey, listen, but how is it a true metaverse if it's only one thing, right? Eventually, you need to be interoperable. You need to have all of these things plugging into the larger, look at what we are building and how massive it is. And, a lot of people outside don't understand why is it that we're building so many things together and how this is the true metaverse as opposed to just, like you said, slapping the word metaverse on everything that moves these days.
It's a very, very good point. And I think that a lot of people get lost in that detail. And, I think that what's really, really weird, and you just sort of take it and say, okay, that's how it is for now. But pretty much every single gaming company is put into the metaverse category. None of them have VR. None of them have a platform. None of them are interoperable. None of them accept multiple forms of payment. And you think to yourself, how the hell is that a metaverse? But it is what it is. It's a new word and people are still feeling their way around it. And pretty soon, like you say, the true offerings will come forward. But, offering a platform, an actual, like back in the day, people were trying to offer chains, right? And they were saying, that's my platform. My platform is Ethereum or Polkadot or whatever. And then once you actually roll that platform out, or the chain, you've got to actually provide as many tools and integration possibilities and stuff that you can. The difference between something like that and something that we're doing is we're saying we build the products and services that can click onto multiple chains form of products and a suite of products so that you can effectively do whatever it is that you want. And people are starting to get their heads around that because they're starting to work out hey, I can do NFTs through you, but I could also do token issuance. I can have a shop representation. I can launch a business through there. I can launch other people's businesses through there. And a model is starting to form, which we've hinted about. And again, all I'm talking about is the conversations that we're having. But more and more people that don't have expertise in this space that are coming from the traditional space are talking to us, and I'm trying to steer them down the path of saying, if you are going to go through tokenization or you are going to go through your own NFT collections, let's work out how we can make sure that if we help you with a little bit of the structure or the launching or whatever, that you can pass on something back to the RFOX holders, i.e. give us 5% of your token supply and we can put it into a staking pool, or give us early access or whitelist entries into your to whatever it is that you're doing. So a model isn't clear for exactly how that would come together, and each person wants something slightly different, but it is forming for sure, and people are very, very receptive to that if you're going to help them. They're also finding that very refreshing because most projects are saying, let's do a quick money grab and nothing future forward or no planning, whereas what we're doing is saying, can you give value back to holders? That's what we're interested in is building the ecosystem and getting more users and people in that are looked after. Urban Gecko, how many users are on CogSlam, or what was the peak?
Over the past 30 days, we have about 14,000 active users, and this is not really based on us doing any marketing rollout. So these users came in organically through some of the initiatives we did, like AMA with YGG and some of the other channels that we work with. But in general, what we wanted to do was to make sure that iOS and Android comes out at the same time. Launch the leaderboard challenges that will reward people who reach the top 100. So previously, I think only the top 3 were given prizes in RFOX, but this time around it's going to be the whole 100 in that list itself. This is time to be probably like end of the month we will announce this. In general, the focus has been Philippines first because geographically it was very easy for us to reach out to all the people that are in that community. But immediately after that, it's going to be Indonesia, then Vietnam, then Thailand, most of Southeast Asia itself. And we've already engaged with some of the potential communities in India as well. So I've got some of the DMs coming in from Latin America as well. So for us to scale properly and bring in all these people, we got to make sure everything works. So the biggest challenge for us right now is to make sure iOS and Android are released bug free. In-app purchases are activated so people can buy coins if they don't want to grind and go into the arena. But what we're looking forward to is essentially allowing as many people as possible to play. So if you notice, we're doing actual upgrade to our service and maintenance over the past few days itself. In anticipation for this, there's been quite a bit of traffic coming into the game, or concurrent users coming in at the same time. So we saw some areas that we can improve on in terms of the network and the server capacity. So we're putting it in place. So if you take a look at the ecosystem, most of these games that were rolled out took at least about 2 years. For example, like Axie Infinity, right? They were not, they didn't build and launch the game last year. It took them a couple of years to do it, and there was a lot of things being done to make sure that we maximize and the efficiency of the game in terms of handling all these players that come in. But I would say for us to get even 14,000 at this point in time is actually quite rapid within a span of a month, seeing how, like I said, we didn't actually do that much marketing.
When will the next project be added to MintLab? So Urban Gecko, there's lots of stuff, like we were saying, there's a number of different projects viewed in many aspects and on many of the different ventures. So we're working through a lot of that, and I've been open about that and always will be, in the sense that there's actually 14 open partnership deals that we're working on at the moment that are some of them are much bigger than anything we've done before. There's a lot going on, and we're trying to assess, and part of our strategy, we're just rolling out the 2022 strategy now, and part of that strategy is to be saying the essence of a good strategy is the ability to say no, and to work out what's going to help us and what's not, as far as the longer term is concerned. But the exciting part is that there's a couple of projects, as we've talked about before, that are also candidates for the white label, whitelisting, and using the NFT platform that would be able to provide utility for the RFOX crowd. So this is pretty exciting, and that's good. And that stuff's, again, closer than it is far away. These projects are well into development, and it's just a matter of getting the timings right for rolling that out. But I think the time's right for that, and there's also a really interesting opportunity that we have for staking as well. So lots of very exciting stuff that's sort of coming together now. And again, it's about the timing now and getting that right. And obviously, there's the game's rolling out, and Fadz has got his side of things, and we've got the Metaverse being built, and then you've got the projects coming in, and you've got to work out how to sort of coordinate that and put it all together. But they're good problems to have, not bad problems.
Yeah, just to add on to what Ben was saying, I think for the next project that comes into MintLab, we will start to explore utility cases for existing Choobs and even the Bored Ape box that have been minted, because those can easily be used as a whitelisting kind of opportunity for people who bought them. So this is definitely something we're discussing internally. So one of the scenarios we can look at is that if, let's say, Reebok does another drop, if you're holding on, for example, RFOX 2020, ultra rare Choob, a board ape cog. These can all be potentially used to allow you to whitelist and mint those cogs that are coming out.
And the good thing is that if we, one of the prime candidates has a very, very limited number of positions available, so it would be quite sought after to get into. So yeah, that's very exciting. Nothing said about COGs in today's call gives me confidence about the future of COGs. Red Fox Labs, yes. COGs, no. It's all hand in hand, mate. The more stuff that comes in and the more partnerships that come in, the more this happens. COGs stands for keys to other games. So the fact is that all of these partnerships bring utility, and the projects that I was just talking about, them that are looking to do. So we've explained this previously, and the way that we look at clicking it together, and it's a collab across the two ventures for games and the NFT white label platform, is that you've got clients coming in on the NFT white label platform that want to do releases that have really good collections that can then be whitelisted. So you could whitelist through your COGs and your MintLab COGs and your Choobs or whatever, be whitelisted for these projects. They'll give us majority of the spots, and then the rest of the people will have to do the like, retweet, follow, do these tasks to try and win a whitelist spot or gas wars. And then those get put into the cycle of they can become a potential MintLab project. So this is very exciting. So it's a matter of that kicking off. And don't forget, we're only a very short period of time away from the NFT white label platform's launch. So this will all tie together very, very well. So that will all bring utility for COGs, bring revenue into COGs, bring communities in for COGs, and make people understand what RFOX and COGs are. And what we're trying to do is twist the arm of two of the projects to actually only accept. So one of them, I think I've got over the line already, to only accept RFOX as a form of payment for their NFT launches. And as I've told you before, most of them are looking at launching on Ethereum. That's their choice. Most of them are looking at launching on Ethereum, and I'm trying to get them to only accept RFOX as the primary form of payment. Easy to announce, difficult to deliver. C-Slam, for instance. A lot of stuff is in this space. A lot of stuff is more difficult to deploy than a normal industry, due to the fact that you're working with emerging technology, you're working in different jurisdictions. And one of the phenomenons that we see is that a lot of the traditional space that's gone digital and gone onto NFTs and all the rest of it becomes borderless. And as you know, when we started up, we were looking primarily at focusing on Southeast Asia. It's our region of focus. It's where we're based. It's where we operate. And due to the nature and the progression of technology, automatically you've suddenly built an audience in countries that you never, ever deemed to target. For example, you hear these big things like Axie that have got tons and tons of players that say that they had an explosive audience grow in LATAM and never targeted there, never advertised, never marketed, just happened. So the thing is that these audiences grow, and you suddenly have to work out the logistics of product offerings in different jurisdictions and countries. Has someone answered that?
Which one is the question you're looking at, Ben?
The 22,000 Choobs in existence currently.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned before, I don't want to do the math for you guys, but if you're looking at tournament mode being launched this quarter, and there's only 22,000 Choobs, and there's still a very cheap flow of COGs out there. I mean, you can decide what to do with them. You want to invest now in buying up the floor and making sure you have enough Choobs that will be used by these people who come in, because end of the day, I think the agenda for majority of the early investors is revenue or passive income, right? But for these new people as well, they want to do the same. And the tools that they need to basically do that is available to you guys right now as they come in, and they need to get these COGs or Choobs. it's really the current holders who decide whether you want to hold or you want to sell. Because right now, if it's cheap and then it starts going up, then you guys will have a different kind of conversation. Oh, there's not enough COGs. We mint some more because we want to buy because these things are valuable. But before that happens, obviously we need to grow the community, and that's what we're doing right now.
What's the biggest challenge we are facing when trying to attract new companies to onboard with RFOX and purchase space in our metaverse? So that's a great question, Camroth, and there's probably a way that I publicly should answer that versus what I will answer with, and that is just the the honest truth. And the honest truth is a lot of the businesses that we talk to just want to buy a shop like now. They don't want to wait for any auction. They don't want to have to go through a process. They don't understand this whole fair launches and distributions and stuff like that. And businesses are businesses. They want to invest in something. They want to get a discount because they invested early and because they're somebody. And I think the biggest challenge that we would face from that perspective is that we have refused to sell out, and we've refused to do cheap deals for shops prior to auction starting or whatever. And the fact is, people don't understand that stuff's on chain, and you can see the bidding and the options and all the rest of it. So I think that the challenge is that people don't get that there's a process to go through to acquire land. They feel as though if they want it, they should just be able to get it now. So that would be the biggest challenge. The second challenge would be a lot of the brands that want to come in don't understand what is possible and want you to figure it out for them and do all the work for them, but not really get anything in return, just the ability to say that you're working with them. So that's the big flavour of the month. And it makes me laugh, and I've said this before, because I see a lot of these big partnerships announced and everyone goes, oh my God, that blockchain's working with that company. And I think to myself, we had 4 meetings with those people and they wanted $5 million a year to be able to say that you've partnered with them and you don't get anything in return. And some other sucker's gone out and paid that fee. And, you know, I look at the impact. And the thing is that I actually, the reason we had the meetings is because I thought to myself, that's an attractive proposition. And imagine being able to say that you work with that company. That would be huge. And imagine the adoption that it would bring. But the reason these companies are out there asking for money from blockchain companies is they know that the token models mean that some of these blockchain companies are very well cashed up, and they're not cashed up, and they're losing market share. They're losing audience. They're losing the ability to be able to reach their audiences during COVID lockdowns. So they're looking for money. And basically, you're paying someone money to be able to say that you're working with them, but you're not really working with them, and there's no real plan to work with them. It's just to be able to say that you're working with them. And I find that to be quite hollow, and there's lots of better stuff that we could spend our money on. So I think one of the problems with some of the businesses is they expect that you would just do a deal where you can use their name for money. And
yeah, but Benny, to refer to that specific thing, I mean, people who paid money and said, hey, we're working with them, but we don't see anything, you know, coming to that project. So what's the point of paying the money?
People don't care. People don't care. So I'll say something that might sound a little bit offensive to some people, especially who are new. Let's be 100% honest here. People don't actually care. People care that news means the token price goes up. They don't actually give a shit about the partnership. They don't actually care about the thing. They just want to be able to say, woohoo, validation that I chose the right token. Look what they're doing. They're doing a partnership with XYZ. But when the token price is not going up, and when they're not getting the impact that they should be getting from having partnered with those brands, you can really easily assess that you're not getting your value. You're not getting your money's worth. It's not having the impact. But it's just not only not delivering, Pete, but the thing is that people don't really care. And the brands don't bring the hype. As we've said, the brands go to the hype. Just by partnering with a big brand doesn't mean anything's going to change. It's a matter of what you can build long term. What's the relationship you can build? What's the value add to both sides? And I'm telling you, look, I shouldn't say this and it'll get me into trouble, but I don't care. The fact is, I have a duty of responsibility and care to you guys as well as token holders and as people that have a vested interest in the project, not to go and squander all of the development money that we have on buying some hollow piece of crap that may or may not get us a 5% pump because somebody said, Dev, do something, and actually build stuff that many people will use and a product that will deliver long-term and sustainable value. And that's, I personally, again, this is the part that I shouldn't be saying, I sold out of 2 large holdings of tokens that I had when those companies took a deal that we passed up on because I thought to myself, that's not a type of company I want to be invested in because they're wasting money. It's not being used for the right reasons. It's not getting the effect they want. It's desperation. And the only reason that you would stoop to that type of desperation is if you've run out of options. You're not actually producing anything. You're not building anything. You've got nothing in the pipeline. So use the last remaining piece of money that you've got to try and pump up the tires and get a bit of a pump. And if you can get enough of a pump, you might be able to sell some of the tokens that you have, and that'll give you enough money to be able to live enough to fight another day. I know that sounds very horrible and pessimistic, but if we want to have a big boy conversation, that's what some people need to understand happens and have to hear. And we have a duty of care and we have a duty of responsibility. We should be using the money that we have to responsibly and making sure that we're trying to do stuff for the longer term. And yes, shoot me. Sometimes you'll get upset. Sometimes that takes a little bit longer, but we'll do the right thing every day of the week.
Yeah, just to add on to what Ben is saying as well, in terms of the cost of these partnerships to companies like us, these brands who come in, they want licensing fees, they want upfront minimum guarantees and stuff. So from a business standpoint, their entry into the space isn't because they're interested in going into NFTs. They think it's a quick win for them financially without caring about crypto or blockchain or NFTs in general. So like what Ben is saying, a lot of these companies have lost a lot of revenues during COVID, and they think that because they are perceived as a marquee brand, they can charge us a large amount to work together with them. But we don't really see it as a partnership. It's almost parasitic, right? They get their money up front and then they leave it up to us on how to figure out to make money. So we've had many of these discussions, at least from the gaming side, on how these brands who have not entered the NFT space yet perceive the opportunity. But there are companies who basically are open and believe that it is the future of how people will interact with each other. So they are taking a chance without it being too difficult for us to meet in the middle.
Exactly. Benny, oh shit, we're running out of time. Benny, midway through last year, I remember correctly, 600 million. Yep. I think that's actually relatively conservative considering what's coming, and considering where we're already at without any major product launches. So, yes, that is definitely still possible. More utility coming has been the line for the last 12 months, and it has happened, CJ. You want to go back and have a look, you've got more wallet holders, more chains, more access, more exchanges, more chances to earn, more chances to spend. Utility has definitely increased. Doesn't necessarily mean that price is going to go through the moon. And if that's what you're expecting straight away, then it doesn't reflect what we are doing. Sometimes the price goes up when we're doing nothing in addition to what we've been doing previously, and we scratch our heads as well. But the fact is the utility is being built, stuff is being built. And if you have a look, go back over Sandbox, go back over Mana, go back over even Voxel that I talk about a bit because of the way that was just a perfectly played out situation. All of those guys said, we don't understand. We're bringing utility. We're bringing products to market. We're doing stuff. I don't understand why it's not moving the needle. And people like myself who are patient would be buying the crap out of sand, knowing that they're producing. But at 4.5 cents, they're miles undervalued. They've got products out. People just haven't come in yet. It hasn't clicked yet, but all the fundamentals are there. And if you zoom out, you just keep buying, and every time people are fudding and giving up hope and saying this will never happen, you keep buying, and it's pretty obvious which ones are going to succeed because they're the ones building, the ones actually working on stuff. And it comes together, it clicks. It doesn't click when you expect it, And that's why you quite often get caught out when the music stops and it takes off and you think, shit, how many times do you go into a feed or a Discord channel and see literally comments with people saying, oh, I was going to buy more next paycheck, but I missed the boat. Good luck to all of you who got in. Well done, guys. And you think to yourself, you've had 7 freaking months to buy that. I don't understand why you haven't bought the crap out of it. But it's so easy from a project perspective to look at other projects that are building, and you know exactly which ones have a higher likelihood of succeeding and which ones have a higher chance of failing. And NFTs are like everything's on half motion. You look at Bored Ape, look at all the partnerships they did, Steph Curry, all the rest of it. Took like 2-3 months before they flew. Rumble Kong League have just done the same damn thing that Bored Ape's done, and it hasn't moved. Crypto Morries, I tweeted about it months ago saying, look what these guys are doing, something to do with mental health. It's actually a really, really good cause, strong community, 0.05 of an ETH. And what's it done? 1.18 ETH or something, and Gary V started buying in. It's so freaking obvious which ones are going to be much more likely to be successful and which ones aren't. And it just takes time. It takes 3 to 6 months after major products launch and things start to click and traction starts before people jump on. But when we say people jump on, I'm talking about retail late money. Smart money is on at just before or around or at the time that products are releasing, and they wait. The whole market is a game of patient people taking money from impatient people. And people saying, I got off of a position in something because it was taking too long. Too long for what? Why does, when the price go down every day, people say, I'm really, really sad. Why? Were you going to sell today? No, but I expected it to go up today. Why? You're going to sell? No. So what does it matter? Zoom out, walk away, go look at the trees and the sky for a couple of weeks and come back. But the fact is, if people are producing and they're putting stuff out and they're working, they have a high likelihood, if you trust the people that are doing that and you trust the team and you trust the vision, you have to wait for it to click. That's all there is to it. Sorry, that's what I think. That too preachy, Pete?
Nope, on the money.
The future plans for the Vault launch happening in different countries, yes. Do you see the scope for the Vault being launched in India? So, Joker, just to go back on that one, the really important thing in relation to that is we're talking to a number of different people from a number of different countries, and I'll be very honest and open in saying we've had a lot of interest from China. You know that. We've talked about that before. But now we're getting into the point of people are racing to try and list companies and IPOs for metaverse companies and all the rest of it. So there's a huge demand for, depending where those people are based, for rolling this out in other countries. And we've had, what do you call it, Pete, propositions or people asking us, can we white label what you've got, or can we run the RFOX Vault powered by us or in conjunction with us in different countries? So we've had Australia, China, Korea, US, Canada, lots of different countries come forward and say, can we potentially run a version of the Vault? Can we white label it or partner with you or joint venture with you? Or
just to clarify, it's not the countries that come to us, it's companies from those countries coming to us.
Sorry. And it's not actually, the majority of the time, it's not actually companies coming to us, it's investment groups coming to us. So the India is definitely actually, I mentioned this, and Piyush mentioned this before, and I just mentioned this the other day, but we've had, again today, we had another meeting with a group of people that manage some Bollywood stars that are saying, Bollywood's huge, Bollywood should be something on your radar. Would you look at doing something to do with a Bollywood-verse metaverse? So that's the other thing that's coming out, is people are saying, what if I want to do a metaverse that is for a specific industry, like pharmaceutical or medical? Can we work with you to do that? So honestly speaking, we have to have conversations to say, how does that affect the build? Do we do it white label? Do we do it as a service? Do we maintain it? How do we do this at scale? Because if we are going to scale to multiple countries and fast, we can't. We need a scalable plan. So that's still being worked on now, mate. But India is as much of a possibility as anything else in the near region for sure. You were backing Morries, awesome, Benny. I've been backing them since before the drop. Love that project. Yeah, I got in purely because I thought it was good that they were doing it. They had a cause. They stood for something, and it was obvious that people were going to back that. But the NFT space is changing a lot, isn't it? It's a whole nother episode right there. But as we were saying, and I said today on the AMA, like 6-8 months ago, it was all about companion drops, and then it went into buying land in the metaverse. And the next phase will definitely be tokenized and DAOs. And I'll explain how that works when we launch that stuff. But you see that the whole NFT space is changing, and you see that, what's it called? Planet Ape something, PAP, the one that launched last night. Those guys are all like ex-Avengers Endgame, and all the big guys are coming in now, and they're making pictures that look like they're metaverse ready. And you'll notice that when those types of ones launch, they'll be like 2.3 ETH or something each before the reveal, and then they get revealed and they only drop to like 1.8 or 1.9, which if you measure the general crash of a floor price of an NFT collection after launch and compare that one to something like Artifact, the drop's just not there, and the volume is, and the money's buying the rarer, more expensive ones. So if those types of people coming into the space that aren't mucking around, that know what they're doing, understand utility, and can build the utility case for that, then the game is changing very fast. RFOX will have a DAO. I think RFOX will have lots of. I think RFOX will have lots of. See, I don't want to get in trouble or commit the team to stuff but it's not committing the team. There's projects coming into, and as I keep telling you, I want to focus a lot on the Launchpad side of things. And I don't mean Launchpad as in one of these stupid freaking scammy Launchpads that you used to. I mean, if a company wants to come in and launch, they're looking for a little bit of guidance, and they love the idea of DAOs. And there's, I think, at least 3 or 4 projects so far coming into the Vault that will do some form of a DAO, at least 3 or 4. And they're asking how we can be involved, how we can work that. And again, like I said, our modus operandus is to say, how can you provide value to the RFOX holders, and how can you provide value to the community? So that's what we're focused on. So as far as DAOs are concerned, again, people are looking for any way that they can jump into this space. And a lot of people are realizing that they're late. So they're trying to latch on, white label what you're building, use your products, team up with you, do something to get their piece of the pie. And I think you're going to see a lot of DAOs launching very shortly. Like, it's going to be DAO season, judging on all the meetings that we're having. 100% there'll be DAOs everywhere. But some of the DAOs are really, really cool ideas. They're actually properly done. I think we're learning. We're on iteration 2.0. Donnie, SOS was a really clever idea. I got asked the other day in an interview why I thought the SOS DAO was successful and why all the copycats that have come out of it after it haven't been successful. One of the main reasons, weirdly enough, let's have a guess. Let's give away a pack for whoever can guess what I'm going to say. Why do you think SOS DAO was successful when most of them are failing and trying to copy it?
First to market.
Yeah, first to market's important, but they did something interesting. They put a liquidity pool in. I know that sounds really, really basic and stupid. Go back and have a look at them all. They all put in $50,000 and $50,000 worth of the token or whatever. These guys went out, did a little, I don't know if it was a raise or whatever, but they put in a massive pool, like at least 500,000 on each side. what happens is when people get their tokens and they sell them straight away, like they do, they see that the price isn't really going down very much because there's quite a deep liquidity pool. And other people say, hang on a second, when tons more people come in, they're going to be buying this stuff. I'm going to start buying. It's not dropping. It mustn't be a scam. It must be real. And all of the others didn't pick up on that and put in 50,000 liquidity pools. And as soon as everyone comes in and starts selling, it moves down like 30, 40%, and everyone goes, shit, sell quickly before it goes to zero. And they're dead. They're done before they start. But if they all had to put in huge liquidity pools, they would have had a deeper percentage variance, and they wouldn't have dropped. And the whales come in and say, well, I'm not going to sell. I'm going to hold on. What if it's an ENS? What if it's an SOS DAO?
Could you see some of these projects coming in utilizing RFOX.Finance or whatnot to do their own type of airdrop or whatever they want to bring to
100%.
the market?
100%. I'll use this story because I've used it 3 times today. The NanoPass, I've used it so many times. The team from NanoPass did a really good job, right? A lot of people don't know who they are. Many people do know who they are. NanoPass had no budget for marketing, like none. And the girl just did a heap of Twitch streams, got a heap of people on the show and on her Twitch show and said, give us a couple of your NFTs. Let's do the collabs. Then they came up with this black box idea that every week they'd give everybody a black box and you might be able to open it up and get some sort of partner NFT. And now you'll see that there's a whole ton of projects going to them that are new saying, hey, can we do a collab to get some exposure? We'll chuck in 10, 15, 20 NFTs. And suddenly there's an endless supply of NFTs being thrown their way to give out. It's absolutely brilliant. And in relation to us, I think we've already got a couple of projects who will do something like that for finance, if we decide that's a good idea or legal or whatever, and then it will just follow suit. Other people start coming in and saying, "How do I do that? Can I give you $10,000 worth of my tokens so that I get exposure to the RFOX crowd?" So yes, very possible. All right, guys. We might call it a night. We've gone over. Thank you very much for staying around. So obviously my tirade didn't scare too many of you off, which is good. But look, guys, all I'll say is this: if you have to back a horse in a race, this would be one that you would back. There's not many teams our size. There's not many teams pushing themselves as hard as we're pushing. And the fact is, for those of you who have been around a long time, you know that what we're building is huge, right? And I'll be the first to admit, sometimes I have to admit that it was more complicated than we thought it was going to be as far as the magnitude. And it doesn't matter if there's a lot of it's easy. It's a lot of easy things. There's still a lot of things. So there's some that's really easy, some that's really hard. And I think it's just a matter of patience. It's a matter of putting it all together and getting it all to work. But personally, I'd back these guys. I'd back our team into the gates of hell. So thank you very much for joining. I understand it's frustrating watching all of this sideways movement and especially low liquidity or the lower cap tokens get smashed every time the Bitcoin decides to have a lie down. But you know, it is what it is. It's how the market works. And when it goes up, you're a genius. When it goes down, you're scammers. But the fact is that for many instances, that's true for people when they disappear off into the woodwork. But we're not going anywhere. It's getting bigger and stronger, and I think this is definitely our year. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome night, and we'll see you back next week.
Thanks, Benny.
Cheers, Benny.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. See ya.